Hightower earlier, and being the CEO of a business is a lonely job. And, I understand that, having had my own dabblings in, what being a business person of one. I was just, I was never anything that great, my own self. It was just I did something by myself that and created a business for myself, be that with YouTube, which um, actually, that aspect of it is very similar to what the celebrities do, But yes, well, we absolutely can never compare ourselves to being celebrities on YouTube, because that will never work. We just don't have the connections to be able to pull that off, because there's so many people who are independent. Now, it was Legacy Media who actually uh, came in around, I think 2009 is when the threat assessment for YouTube became really, really heavy, and they started noticing a shift. But let's get back to talking about Michael Cantori. And so I'm going to make some comparisons and analogies related to being a CEO and a business boss, because I've had those dealings before with my ex-husbands, being bosses. And so anybody who's been the boss of a company or something, they understand that it's kind of lonely. And maybe there's a reason for that, because they are always talking about how, keeping the bosses in the private sector separate from their employees, because a lot of times what it does in turn is then causes a lot of problems, so and so it's kind of the same thing I was reading about, with, I think it was on Chat GPT last night. I have some really good conversations with Chat GPT, I'll tell you that right now. And it just makes me feel better all around that it does pull up some things. It doesn't always agree with me. Everything it pulls up is not always agreeing all the time, so it includes other opinions. Um, but what it was talking about was related to Jack Smith, because that came up, and what they're saying is there's a conflict of interest with Jack Smith having campaigned. And so I was doing, well, let me see if I can find it here. Um, oh, okay. And so they were talking about the attorneys who, okay, let me see. Oh, this is the question. Let's get chat GPT going here. We're going to get chat GPT going here. Because I was, they're always talking about the word vetting a person for politics. I always wondered, what in the world does that mean? Vetting a person for politics. Now, chat GPT, are you here? Are you here? It's not responding for some reason. Chat GPT is not responding. Okay, let me. Are you here? One more time with advanced voice powered. Okay. Are you here?
Hi, glad to meet you. I think we're going to do great work together. Where shall we start?
Okay, Chat GPT, I wanted to ask you the question, what is the meaning of vetting a person when it comes to politics? Can you tell me? Okay, you're not responding here very well, Chat GPT. Are you still here? Chat GPT.
Hi, glad to meet you. I think we're going to do great work together. Where shall we start?
Hello, it's lovely to meet you. If there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Okay,
I'm here to help.
Maybe I need to.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey there, I've got a really great... Hey, it's great to meet you. How's your day going? I'm really looking for...
Are you here, Chat GPT? Hello? Now it doesn't want to talk to me for some reason.
Hey, it's great to meet you. How's your day going?
Okay, Chat GPT does not want to talk to me. Okay, so Turn on microphone for more communications. Yeah, it doesn't want to talk to me on voice for some reason right now. But now the thing is, last night I asked ChatGPT the meaning of vetting a person. And okay, so because they were always talking about cool kid milestone, hello. Yeah, you guys are just using this just for shout outs. That's all I see happening right now on YouTube is it's like there's no conversations taking place related for anything. I mean, I legacy news media, how come they're not just doing shout outs? Because really they should be at this point. The legacy news media should just be doing shout outs and saying hi to people. That's all their news should be, is just saying hi to people, because clearly you people don't want to hear about anything at all related to having a decent conversation of anything. You don't want to learn anything. You're just trying to get views. It's like, oh, yes, all of us are. I'll admit that everybody who wants to be monetized. But the direction this goes is then it's like, well, okay, where is the common ground in this? Because then we've got just a bunch of kids who are 12 years old who just want to have 1 million subscribers and be the next Justin Bieber, apparently. Now, the word vetting means carefully examining or evaluating something or someone to make sure they meet certain standards that are trustworthy, qualified, or safe. Example. Now, what do they do in the private sector to vetting someone? Job applicants are vetted before being hired, background checks, references, etc. The problem is then when you take someone and you put them in a job and you put them in a job and it's like, oh, well, you were in the military. Yeah, you're trustworthy. We liked you. And then they're not even thinking about and may not even do a background check on that person, which I hear they're illegal though. But at the same time, every person has to have a job in order to survive. Otherwise, prison is the place for them to go. Job applicants are vetted before being hired, background checks, references, etc. News stories are vetted by editors for accuracy before publishing. So would you rather see a tree grow or a Negro asking for a friend? Fetty Whopper, hello. Fetty Whopper, can you give me a shout out, Fetty Whopper? Yes, okay, you said it twice. You got a shout out. You need to do that on the corporate media news too and ask for shout outs. Can you go stand outside of a TV station and ask for a shout out? Can you guys do that? I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing as I'm trying to talk about something here. Because I'm trying to figure out what vetting is. I can't get ChatGPT to work. The voice won't work anymore right now. Maybe it's something that they have to work on, or are you there, ChatGPT?
Hey, it's great to meet you. How's your day going? I'm really looking.
ChatGPT won't talk to me anymore. It must be upset. Nobody love you, hun. Okay. You give me a shout out. I did give you a shout out, Fetty Whopper 200, Soviet bot. Hello, comrades. Nobody, can you give me a shout out to my cousin, Mo Lester? It's his birthday. You have a cousin named Mo Lester? That, I feel so bad for your cousin. I'm here. Why are you in a froggy mood? Are you feeling froggy and you're gonna leap or something? Or were you kissed by a frog and you think you liked it? A groggy froggy? Uh, your cousin Mo Lester. um, But there are more, cholesterol. Lester is in the middle of cholesterol. Did you guys know that? And so I'm kind of a word enthusiast more than anything. Apparently, dealing with words on the internet is, for someone else's business model. They get very upset with you. I don't have a problem saying most things, because I do see the inequalities related to the internet, having worked on the internet with it monetarily for going on 20 years now. but actually been on the internet longer than that. So there's a lot of commonalities from legacy media that trickle over into society. And there's been a distinct influencing, and that's always been my thought process, is to express that um, what is influencing, because the words just change. And so we had legacy media TV on, they're on TV and they're like, oh, well, we don't do social media. Well, that's not true. You got Sean Hannity on there on Fox News, and he's saying, oh, we don't do social media TV. We don't do social media. It's like, well, yes, you do. News, speaking on TV, you have a big megaphone. Even the president himself does social media. So for people who are CEOs, it's a very, very lonely world, I believe. Um, and they're probably trying to find a friend, and they're not going to. Now, they maybe came from a job where they were an underling. That's what we like to call them, as underlings. That's kind of a nicer way than it's a nicer way than calling them a dimwit or a dipshit or something like that. An underling, the low hanging fruit. People don't like that either. The low hanging fruit balls, the low hanging fruit flies. They don't like that, because sometimes it insults their sensibilities, but it's just things that we slowly kind of integrated into our language and dialogue on the internet over the decades as the internet has been rolling out. So people new to the internet are going to feel insulted. You retracted your message, nobody. Why did you do that? Hi. Why are you retract? Now I have a whole bunch of the same message that says message retracted, message retracted, message retracted. Oh, good grief. And then you guys blamed YouTube for doing it when you know darn well you're doing it your own self. YouTube is not doing it, because I've done the same thing myself. And you're blaming YouTube for doing something that YouTube is not doing. And so you need to stop that right now, because you should be ashamed of yourself. I did, because I'm a little shy. What are you shy about? You retracted your message because you're shy? Nobody? Yeah. What are you shy about? I mean, do you do your own content? Well, I have a belief that writing on the internet is content itself. It is content creation. And a lot of people may not think about that. I mean, everybody is creating content. Do you want me to get a little disgusting with you right now? And I will. So when a human being takes a dump, they're creating content. Think of it like this. When a human being takes a poop, they're creating content. It's just a fact. Did you think about, you made a pyramid. You made a pyramid. It's kind of like a volcano, a pyramid. That's pretty cool. I do the same thing where I take some of the ASCII characters, and so we'll make a slash forward and then a line underneath and then a slash the other direction. And acted it. Why did you do that? Now all I've got is a whole bunch of message retracted in the brackets. So you're self-censoring yourself. Haha, yes. You know darn well you're doing it. Let me ask you this. Nobody, are you lonely? Are you lonely? Do you need someone to talk to? Do you need an elderly person, an elderly senior citizen woman to pick on because you're a low-hanging fruit? I shouldn't call you that. I have no idea who you are. I'm sure you're a lovely person. Uh, I'm just playing. You do. You do need someone to talk to? Okay, well, let's talk. Do you want a real conversation, or do we just want to put kids stuff up here all the time? Depends on how elderly. Oh, are you going to discriminate? Oh, you're 28. Well, you're really young. Yeah, you're really, really young. So, I mean, talking to an elderly person is okay for someone that you want to have a platonic relationship with. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just think of, this is what I'm going to tell you. Okay, so for people who have hangups about older people, just look at that person, a woman. I'm not going to speak for men because I'm not sure. You could do the same thing for men too, but I know men think of things differently. But look at the older person as either your sister, a grandma, or a mom. People say I'm mature for my age, though. How old are you? I'm old. I'm very old. And so just think of me as your mom, your grandma, or a sister, or an aunt, or something like that. I mean, because the thing is, people talk to people all the time. And I know young people who are in the middle of their sowing their oats and feeling up their self and stuff like that. They're in that era of the hormones are running wild. Now, the hormones are the hormones. You talk to yourself with the hormones. That's psychological. The hormones are psychological. So what you do with that when you create that dopamine rush in your brain of your stimulation situations and things like that, you're creating that yourself. So you're training your body. Oh, I'm not telling my age. Well, I mean, the thing is, it's like there's celebrities on YouTube who are older than me. You are retracting all your messages. Why are you you're still retracting messages? So if I was sending a message to, I'm going to use this as an example. If I was sending a message to a lawyer, he's just going to retract the messages and delete all of them as though I don't even know him. That's what he's doing. Well, they still went through AI, so it doesn't matter. I still got it through AI. AI can still read it anyway. Even if he doesn't read the messages, AI still has the messages there, and they're still on my end. How old am I? I'm probably old enough to be your mother. I'm old enough to be your mother. Let's put it in words like that. Um, and so I'm too old for you. I'm too old for you if you're trying to pick up women or something like that. I'm too old for you. I'll tell you this. I'm over 50. I'm over 50. How does that sound? You're older. Well, what would make you think I'm older than 59, sir? Um, what would make you think that? Because, it almost has me thinking something about you. I'm not sure what that is, Mary. Something about Mary. I know. Yeah. Why do I have this distinct thought that you? I mean, it's always there, and it drives me insane. It just drives me completely insane. I don't know why. And I hate that feeling because it's like, okay, I want to forget about it. I just want to forget about him. I want to forget about the nasty. I don't want to call him a nasty attorney because I have such mixed feelings about him. And, but okay, but now he's stuck in my head. He has real estate in my head. I haven't seen him for years, but he's still stuck in my head. To be honest, I sound young and hot. I am young and hot. I'm young and hot at heart, and I'm young and hot. Um, oh, I've never been this age before, so I'm going to be young and hot for the rest of my life, as far as that goes. If you want to look at it like that, I'm going to be young and hot for the rest of my life because my brain still remembers a lot of things. And it's like, okay, how do I get my brain to pick back in up with that? Do I need to get myself a massager or something, to be honest? I would hope that you are always honest all of the time there, sir. Um, I would hope you're honest all the time. But when you say to be honest, you know darn well that's a loaded statement right there, to be honest, because I would expect that you're being honest all of the time. Um, However, human beings have their flaws. I know that. I'm not perfect. I've always said that I'm not perfect. I have never strived to be perfect, because if I do, I'm going to fail every time. What is perfection? There this is one of my favorite sayings that came out of me. There's imperfection in perfection. So, there's always an imperfection in the perfection in trying to reach what is perfect, because if you keep trying, you'll never get there. Are you a little risk taker? I am. I'm a big risk taker. I will say that. I have always been a big risk taker. I have to say that. Not little, a big risk taker. So I'm someone who actually goes off out in other directions, because I like to I it's not that I want to be a leader, but I actually lead my own path. I beat my own drum, so if you're thinking of a risk taker, I am someone who likes to beat the drum of my own horn. Wait, how to beat my drum? Yeah, you know what I mean. I like MILFs. You want a MILF? That you are a leader and a risk taker. What does MILF have to do with this? You you're just gonna have me cracking up here all morning now. I'm not laughing at you. I'm loose laughing at what you wrote, because you said you want a MILF. And that's just so crazy to think that ChatGPT likes MILFs. And everybody knows what a MILF is. Oh my gosh. But you know what? Now you retracted the message and you took it away. Now, shame on you, ChatGPT. Shame on you. You took away. Are you that? You can't be that embarrassed about saying that you want a MILF. Like, if you want a MILF, does that mean that you're married? And so now you're actually seeking a secret partner outside of your relationship from your wife. Is that what you're doing? No, that's not what you're doing. Because the thing is, it's like, the internet is going to tell on you. Chat GPT is going to tell on you every time. Isn't that a lesson that people have learned, that when they're cheating? I mean, okay, through Facebook is one of the biggest, because of the fact, if you don't want to expose yourself to cheating, don't post it on the internet. Don't add the people you are cheating with on your friends list on the internet. That's my advice. Michael Cantori says, hello, you seem to be having fun. Oh, you're not in a relationship. Nobody, you're not in a relationship. Okay. And yes, and so I tend to make my own fun, because of the fact that um well, I just tend to make my own fun. And, I got used to being alone in life, because when I was a kid, I was sent to my room all the time for getting punished over things that were very mundane. And, boys would not have been punished for those things, but little girls are punished, So it was kind of the treatment from out of parents of treating the little girls quite a bit differently than the little boys. So me and my sister, now my parents were new parents. Anyone who's been a parent knows that they're not perfect when they're a parent. They know how to feed their baby, take care of their baby, nurture their baby, but they're going to make mistakes, and it's like, parents, if this is a gift I could give to parents, it would be, don't be hard on yourself, because you have other parents in society who have been through the same thing. And if your baby's crying in the store, let your baby cry. We've heard it. If your kid is having a meltdown and a temper tantrum on aisle 9, let your kid have the meltdown. I've been a parent. It's not going to bother me. Your kid will get over it. And, you're going to have some grandma in the store who's going to come up and ask little Billy Bobby Doodlehead, what's wrong? And he's going to get a little bit of attention. He's going to get a smile from some stranger old lady who looks like a grandma. That's going to make him happy. And then he's going to go on, and maybe he'll forget and what he was being naughty to mom about, so mom, don't feel bad about that at all. Okay, so I'd punish you in a different way. Punish me for what? How would you punish me? Punish me for what? What did I do wrong that you want to punish me? You're JK. Does that mean just kidding, or does that mean something else? Because I'm beginning to think JK means that you're Jack Smith. JK. That's what when I see JK, I just think of the word Jack for some reason with shortened letters all the time, and so that man, yeah, Jack Smith, he has too much real estate in my brain. And I'm not talking literally about Jack Smith, but Jack Smith, yes, he does, because I think that I knew a Jack Smith after my first divorce. I mean, oh my God. I regret not sleeping with him. I really do. And in hindsight, I'm thinking I should have, but you know why I didn't? I didn't because of the fact that he he worked with my ex-husband, and I didn't, and I thought I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to have a relationship with a man who works with my ex-husband. I can't do that. Who is that? I see, I don't know if his name, I know for a fact his first name was Jack, but his last name, Smith, is very, very popular. So I don't know if his last name was Smith. I'm just thinking it might have been. But he was pretty decent looking. He kind of reminded me a little bit of Jack Vale. A little look between him and then that guy in Las Vegas. What the heck is this? Would you give a 28-year-old a chance? No. No, I wouldn't. Absolutely no. I would not give a 28-year-old a chance. That's too young. I would talk to a 28-year-old in a platonic relationship, but no, as far as dating, no. That just seems too like too much drama and too much trouble. I mean, 28 is younger. 28 is younger than all of my kids. I don't even have any kids who are in their 20s anymore. You have to think about that. It's like my kids would find that so weird if they would be like, my kids would want to commit me to an insane asylum. Now the thing is, when you were a child, your parents dressed you in a t-shirt that read divorceable. No, they didn't. I never, my parents never, my mom actually had told my dad that she wanted divorced, that she couldn't wait until we got old so she could divorce my dad. That's what my mom told me when I was a little kid, when I was a little girl, that she couldn't wait for us to graduate from high school so she could divorce my dad. They don't, I don't have to tell my kids. So I'm 28, but I'm really so mature. People say I'm an old soul at 65. What are you, 65 miles an hour? Oh. So in reality, I'm older than you. Oh, you're older than me. You're older than me. Wow. But you're someone, so what you're saying then is you're someone on the internet who is pretending to be younger, but you're actually older. I'm sure they did. And so, yeah. Now I lost my train of thought where I was going with that. You guys completely derailed my thought pattern here that I was having in my brain with the direction of the conversation that I was going, because sometimes it's kind of fun to go down that direction. No, I'm younger, pretending to be older. I guess I'm 28, but I feel like I'm 65. Oh yeah, I'm so divorceable. Well, that's the whole thing is to, that's the whole thing is to derail a relationship. That's the whole thing is to derail a relationship before it even gets off the ground because of the fact that, it's like, well, it's just going to end in divorce anyway, so why even bother? That's where I'm at right now. Where are you from? I'm from the planet Earth. And so related to CEOs and things like that, or having your own business, it's like, well, there's varying degrees of what a business is when it comes right down to, um, having a business. Divorce is a choice and not a good one. Well, what about people who are in physically abusive relationships? What choice does a woman have under those circumstances? Because it's easy for someone to say divorce is a choice, and then why would you want to force someone to be married forever? And then where do you leave to? Because there's no place for the woman to leave to. Who does the woman rely on upon the time that she gets divorced? This is the thing that I always ask. Who does the woman rely on at the time she gets divorced? Because at the time of the Bible, she was betrothed to an old perverted man straight on out of the Bible. And that's what we see with Joseph and Mary. It seems like nowadays that Joseph was embarrassed to even admit, that's what I'm reading in some of the biblical scriptures, that Joseph was embarrassed to even admit that he was with Mary and that she was pregnant. So it sounded like they wanted to terminate her pregnancy at the time that she was married. And so Joseph was the man who came forward and said he's going to take responsibility for the baby, with Mary and Joseph. And so who takes responsibility for the female at the time? Because it's like now we've got all these women in society, and upon the time of divorce, in the Bible it says a woman is made out of man's rib. Actually, I've learned that's a lie. That's a great big lie, because a lot of these doctors are saying that men and women have the same amount of ribs. So it was just a story. It's not something that can be believed. But you're right. That story is in the Bible. And they said they took, so there's a huge emphasis to marginalize and diminish women in the Bible. A really, really huge emphasis to demean women and tear down the self-esteem of women in the Bible to make it look like men. So there's something in the Bible. There's something in the Bible. The scripts, the way that it's written, is anti-woman. That's what I see. It's anti-woman. I don't see it any other way, because woman is completely erased from the Bible, and you can't have something that's supposed to be good where it's just completely erasing women altogether. A woman is made to cater to a man's needs, and a man is made to provide to a woman. Yes, but just providing a man's appendage, his flappy little tiny appendage, is not just what a woman needs. The court system sees it a little bit differently. So if I'm talking to the past, then I have to express that, well, you're not doing a good job taking care of the woman then. So the woman needs taken care of after the divorce is final, because now there's therapists who will say that physical abuse is a deal breaker, and there is a lot more men who will get very, very upset at physical abuse towards their daughters. Not all men will get upset about it. They'll just stick their head in the sand because they don't know what to do with their daughter. So once their daughter's gone, it's kind of that thing, oh my gosh, I've gotten rid of my daughter now. She's off my hands, and so she's someone else's problem now. And so that's kind of how all parents get when their kids are older. It's like, oh, my kids are off on someone else's hands. and just don't think about it anymore because they're 18, they don't need any help. Let's see, maybe if she wouldn't have taken a bite out of that apple, she would be she wouldn't be where she is today. Maybe you got the wrong man. I agree that I got the wrong man. I agree with that, because you can't predict how a man is going to be, how a man is going to change. I agree with that. Now, the apple, I think that the symbolic nature of the apple is that I think Adam and Eve were in prison. I think they were slaves. I really do. I think Adam and Eve were slaves and they were imprisoned and they were in a garden of some sort, and so, whoever Adam and Eve were imprisoned by, they were telling them not to look outside of the yard where they were at. And I don't know who the snake, I'm not sure what is symbolic of. No, don't think like that. Don't think like what? What am I not supposed to think like? So, Adam and Eve, um, I do. I think that they were in prison, and I do like to look through the Bible, not all the time, but I like to look through the Bible and the phrases that were most popular, the things that I learned about when I was a kid, and that's one of them, the living in the Garden of Eden. And so they had a specific place where Adam and Eve were at. And then they were telling them not to look at the tree of life, with which the apple is the tree of life. Johnny Appleseed. Now, you guys, I'm sure you remember the story of Johnny Appleseed. And so Johnny Appleseed is kind of interesting when you think about it, because of the fact that in school, we learned about Johnny Appleseed, and he's spreading his apple seeds all over the earth. And that was how we were taught. And as I got older, I started thinking about, oh my gosh, those pervert story writers were teaching us about the birds and the bees in grade school in a kind of a childlike way. And they were trying to teach us about how this little boy, Johnny, is spreading his seed all around the earth. And it's like, oh my God. So you basically got a little kid who's Johnny Appleseed, and he's spreading his seeds all over the place. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's too disgusting to think about anymore, because it's like it's a children's message, just like church. It's written in a children's message, and Johnny Appleseed is really bad because it's like he's growing all these apple seeds, and you think, when you make the comparison that church does, and so you've got church talking about seeds and birth being a miracle from God, and then you've got Johnny Appleseed in the public school system, and then as an adult, it's like, oh my God, I can't think about this, because now you're talking about incest and molestation, and I will need to get those thoughts out of my brain, but at the same time, I need to talk and teach about things in a politically not motivated, adult-like way, so children have a means to be able to talk to adults and explain and express if an adult is harming them in some way, instead of them talking about little Johnny Appleseed is off over here planting seeds in the kangaroo pouch, and little Johnny Appleseed, who is a 55-year-old man, said that it's okay to put the cucumber inside of the kangaroo pouch and put seeds in there. And so now you've got little Sally, who's trying to explain to the police how she is 6 years old and she ended up pregnant by Johnny Appleseed. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you guys get it yet? And so, so I understand the problems that we have right now with the internet, when everything is, well, okay, I'm glad you get it. I mean, we are literally speaking in tongues here because of the fact that it's next to mission impossible to be able to express anything in a legible way that people can actually understand it. Let alone a police investigation. Good God Almighty. Each police officer, if they're doing an investigation like they're done on the internet, For just one call, they'd probably have 35 to 100 pages in trying to describe what's going on, from little Johnny Appleseed and Sally, the kangaroo pouch and the cucumber, in trying to explain how the mushroom tip ended up there and got little Sally, who's only 6 years old, pregnant. Did you read my previous message? I did. You said you got it. Yes, you said you got it. So, um, okay, so you're a 66-year-old man who's pretending to be 28 years old on the internet. I did know that existed. I did. And so now if you're trying to harm children on the internet, I mean, this is a problem that I see on the internet, is when, for people who are trying to do nefarious things to children. And that's one of the dangers of the way things are on the internet. That now, let's see. I'm 28 years old, to be honest, and I have an old soul. I feel like I'm 65. Okay, you feel like you're 65. Now, 65 just does not get you Social Security, though. Just saying that you're 65 doesn't get you medical benefits either. I mean, because that's something that has been a topic of discussion, and now there's more and more people who are addressing, ha ha ha, yeah, you can't just say that you're something and think that you're going to get it. Now, I know there's a lot of people, they go to and I've been hearing, and this is the sad part. So it's people out of the military, and someone is telling them to go to these offices and lie about things. And so they're telling them just to go into these offices. You're a legit 28. So they're telling them to go into these government offices and lie about things so they can get the benefits, because otherwise they just have no means of getting the benefits that they need. I understand that, because women are in the same situation, so, but the thing is, I don't hate men. I absolutely don't. It's just there's some men I'm just never going to get involved with. And it's like, I mean, it's just like a man saying there's some women they're never going to get involved with too. We're old bro. We're old bro. I don't know what old bro, I don't know what that is. I think we can say the bromance days are over. Everyone was talking about the bromance days and all that stuff going on, and people are tired of it. Women are tired of being called bro on the internet. They're really tired of, I would think that men would be tired of being called bro on the internet. It's like, I'm not your bro, and then you got all these young kids who are calling each other bro now, and it's so ridiculous. It's like, you are not bros. Okay, yes, I will answer a yes or no question. You want a yes or no question? I will answer it. Ask the question. And you got to leave it up a few seconds for me to be able to see it before you retract the message. Okay? Don't retract it too fast. Okay, ask the question. I'm waiting. I can't read your mind. You're going to have to type it out. I know you probably are fumbling around with some chubby little thumbs there that are like little worms. Oh, you already asked the question? Okay. You asked the question. I don't know what question that was that you asked. You're just speaking all out of turn, and your words are coming in different. It's like your sentence is coming in different. It's not coming in as a legible sentence. I mean, presumably, I think that's how the internet works. I think that's how Google works, is that everything does not come in. It's kind of like what the United States military does when they go into mirror sites. So the words within Google and that are broken up into different illegible contexts, so none of it makes sense. And that's how the internet works, is my understanding. That there's they called it a new way of distributing, so that everything is not coming in all in the same format, so you can't actually identify who a person is with what they're writing on the internet, which is kind of like the National Archive. It's like garbage. So when everybody takes and they put all their this is a very good analogy. So the internet works in the sense of, when you take and you put everything into a community garbage dumpster, into a community dump, unless there's an address on it, you have no idea whose garbage it is. Now, you can speculate that a note on an address on an old envelope, you can speculate that maybe in that little pile there could be some things from a person, but then maybe not, because if you threw that little letter away someplace else, you don't know. And so then if someone's doing an investigation in a garbage dump of some sort, that would be a really hard garbage. Would you lick a man's toes? No. Absolutely no. I would not lick a man's toes. No. Oh my gosh, I just noticed something when I do my clip here. Google has reduced the time from 5 minutes down to 49 seconds. A 49-second clip instead. So it used to be 5 minutes and now they're 49 seconds. That's kind of interesting. Not even if he was your dream man. I would not lick his toes. No, that's gross. If he put them in, you know what? I would if he actually washed them and I knew they were clean. I don't think that would be a big deal of licking his toes, because I think that it's going to be done as a joke of some sort. So I probably would if he washed them, as long as they weren't all stinky. Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, most definitely I probably would. I don't know why I lied and said no. Because I probably would lick his toes, especially if they were clean. If I knew they were clean, and like I cleaned his feet with soap and water, and then they're clean right away. But even when they're a little bit dirty, it's like, what do they have? Dirt on them. It's not like, I'm just thinking, it's not like his toes are disgusting. If it's a man that I really, really like, I probably would lick his toes. But that would be so disgusting. I'm telling you, the internet would just go insane over seeing a woman lick a man's toes. That would just be, there would be, oh my God, he is demeaning her. He is being so rotten and filthy. And that man is, the man who does that, I am telling you right now, women are going to hate on that man, and they are just going to not like him at all one bit. I will tell you that right now. That is something that is going to get lefty women's libbers just crazy. Well, they're not all lefties, though. That's going to get even women who are just, born a woman and identify as, I support women. There's a lot of women in life who actually support women. And they don't identify with all this politics stuff, because I knew when I grew up, my school, I don't ever remember them teaching us about, we learned about politics, but they weren't like pushing us to choose a side. So I never understood the aspect of the purpose of political parties. That was not taught. We were just told that the politicians were part of a party, but we weren't taught that we had to align with a party. In fact, I didn't even think about how the like related to the primaries, how our votes were kind of stolen when they have the primaries instead of the general election, you know, related to our voting choices being whittled down based on the party. And so the parties have actually become the corrupt nature of voting, and especially with legacy media pushing things out the way they've been pushing it, then causes a lot of problems. But let's get back to talking about the toes. I think that's more interesting, and that people want to hear that instead of politics. Well, but wait, let's mix in politics. Imagine this. Imagine if the first lady was licking the president's toes. Or if the president was caught with one of the White House staff licking his toes. That would be quite an interesting story, wouldn't it? But yes, it would be disgusting. I mean, it's always, feet are always seen as disgusting, but at the same time, it's like we all have feet, except for people who have lost limbs and things like that. So I have to include them because I think, to me, it's always going to be an important aspect in my life. We've all had a family member or someone who we know. Like for me, when I was in school, there was these two twins, and they were in wheelchairs, and I believe that they had muscular dystrophy. And so they were in school, and they had to, I mean, they were able to wheel themselves around in the wheelchairs on their own. And so they went to special classes. But at the same time, that's where I learned about kids with disabilities. But I also had a family member who had a disability. And so we always kind of have to be mindful of people in our society who need to be taken care of. Now, people in our society who need to be taken care of, their caretakers are met with inflation too. And that's one of the things I've addressed is, related to state caretakers, people taking care of someone in state custody. And when I say custody, that's not like lockup or anything. That's like state custody. They've become a ward of the state. Not because they've done a crime, but because the parents of that person don't have the means to be able to take care of them. So they have to sign their rights away over to the state to care for them so that hospital services can care for them. That means that person is probably, with inflation, they're getting less care because of the fact that it's harder for them to pay for things because it's getting more expensive in the hospital system. And that's the same thing I've been trying to describe about the foster care system, is that when foster kids are in state custody, that does not mean they're in a jail or a prison. However, I've made the analogy and said they just as well be. That's the same thing with wives, ex-wives. It's like, well, what do we do with ex-wives? I don't know. Don't know what we do with ex-wives. I have absolutely no idea. And ex-husbands too, because they absolutely are caught up in the same system of inflation. And, I was listening to a tiny little blurb from Legacy Media TV today, and they were talking about the tariffs, and saying, well, those costs are being passed off to the American public. And it's like, you guys this is 2025 and going on towards the end of the year, and you just realize that. But since the Great Depression in 1930, we've had 100 years of inflation. Now, something's got to change because this is not working. So the government is causing inflation. Why is the United States government purposely causing inflation? And does someone have to lick someone else's toes and hold up a sign that says, hey, look, Mom. Hey, look, Dad. We have inflation. But I have to lick this man's toes. Imagine another man licking another man's toes because of the fact that that's the only way he can make money. is licking another man's toes. He's a bootlicker. He's a toe licker. And so by me saying this, I'm trying to figure out there's probably going to be a joke or a meme somewhere in here that is going to be an aha moment. I don't know if it's going to happen within the next couple hours or while I'm doing this live stream, or if it's going to take me a couple days to figure this out of related to, but I am pretty sure that I'm going to be able to figure this out in the next 24 hours. But I'm going to give it a go here. But I want to make another highlight here because a 49-second short was uploaded. Oh my gosh, YouTube, you did it. You 49. You guys are so clever. You know what I'm seeing here right now? Okay, our next president, I'm going to tell you guys a secret here right now. So we're on president 47 right now. Now the number 48 has been coming up a lot. And YouTube doing the highlight of 49 has been coming up some because we're going to be moving into these are the next presidential cycles. You know, it's really kind of, this is something I'm going to have to not think about. I'm going to have to not think about, because it's like when I look at the numbers of the presidential cycles that we move into, you know, I want to anticipate being alive till I'm over 100. But when I look at the numbers of the presidents, and then I think, my gosh, imagine, there's a possibility I might not be alive. But I'm talking about these presidential numbers. But then at the same time, I think about like my baby when he died at birth. He never even had a chance to. I wasn't even thinking about presidential numbers then. Actually, I didn't even, when Ronald Reagan was president, I had no idea what number president he was. I just didn't. I didn't even think of it as being something that was important. And so, I wish we had a different president, and we didn't have to have Donald Trump as president. Going into the 250th anniversary of the United States, the anniversary birthday of the United States. I wish it could be someone else. However, when I say that, the thing I think about is capitalism from 250 years ago. I'm sure it existed. I'm sure people were being taken advantage of. Without a doubt, people were being taken advantage of. And that's probably why the United States went in the direction it did, to split things up a little bit further and try to separate people from being taken advantage of. Because how else can you do it? If you don't make things smaller and separate people, and it's like we're still doing it. I can't even call it assimilation, or maybe it's a gradual assimilation. But the thing is it's like people around the world are now seeing the capitalism that's taking place around the world. So capitalism is very vicious and very nasty. It has no room at all for people who need help. No response about what? You didn't hear what I said? What are you talking about? No response. No response of what? What are you talking about? Did you just shut the sound off and not listen? You must have done that. You didn't listen? Nobody? You didn't, I guess not. I just talked to myself is basically what I did. I guess, that's the thing I think about being a good therapist. You know what? There are 2 men in my local area, and I would call them probably good therapists because they have a good understanding of what being a good therapist is, and that's just letting people talk and go through what they need to. Kuriboski, hi. I said, how far would you go to save the world? I'm goonin. You're goonim. How far would I go to save the world? Oh, there's nothing that I can do to save the world. I mean, absolutely nothing I can do to save the world. That's not realistic. You're goonim. You're a goon. Um, so now I don't know what religion does. They're always talking about wanting to save things. They want to save people. I is religion going that far now where they're telling people that they can save the world? Save the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you cared enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. If your dream man asks you to puke on his junk, no, I wouldn't do that. That's gross. No, that's disgusting. The feet thing can be done in humor. I think the feet thing can be done appropriately with humor. And I'm going to add the feet thing about animals too, because dogs lick their feet. And so if I was Doc Compton and he's dealing with the scammers, puking, that's gross. Puking on junk. Yeah, that's disgusting. That's really disgusting. I would not do anything like that no man is worth that. Why though? What if he liked it though? He's not the kind of guy that I want to be around because I mean that does nothing for me. Then he's actually trained himself. He's trained himself to psychologically get some type of fetish excitement out of that, I guess. That's the only thing I can conclude. What if it happened on accident? Oh, you mean that he's like trying to choke her because he is holding her head on his junk and she vomited because he's like suffocating her with his junk? Because now I'm going to be straight up with you here. I've seen those videos on the internet and they are gross. They're demeaning to women. They're disgusting. And that's how young men learn that they think women want to be treated like that when they see those videos. I've seen them before. I'll tell you that right now. I've seen them on YouTube. And if I see them again, I'm going to report them. But maybe the thing is that I knew enough about what was going on that YouTube decided, well, yeah, she knows what's going on. We need to put these videos in front of other people and let them decide if they're things they want to watch. And so we'll let them do the reporting system on YouTube, because otherwise it's just me reporting adult content that shouldn't be in front of kids. And so, so there's an era of adult videos where maybe a woman is puking because he's holding her head down on the junk, and he's trying to either suffocate her or he's getting some kind of fetish thing because of control. He's controlling her, holding her head down with pressure. I mean, that itself is a form of abuse. Lobotomy patient, maybe it just feels good. What would happen if you edged for 5 hours straight? If you edged, I don't know. That's weird. Edging, you mean edging are you talking about edging like hedge clippers edging, or edging a sidewalk, or, well, no, I'm not going to, gooning feels good. John Joink, I don't know what gooning is. I have no idea what gooning is. I mean, gooning, there was a movie, The Goonies, I know some people refer to, they make up a whole bunch of different names for the backdoor entry. So when I say the backdoor entry, that can be an adult terminology of, that someone, a predator would use. It's used on women. Now I'm feeling like I can't even talk about this stuff on the internet because I need to keep it clean. But backdoor entry is when we talk about Uranus. I mean, Uranus, the planet, Uranus, so I have to kind of deviate to a different, so I'm keeping it above the fold. But, yeah, Uranus, the planet, is a big joke because of the fact that it's Uranus. And so we have a mixed context of wording there so we can keep it clean and above the fold. NASA does it really, really well. Back to the woman puking the man's junk. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, I know you got me. You got me with that. Because, okay, I'm going to tell you how you can keep it clean too, puking on junk. Gooning streak, getting up. I'm going to have to, John Joink, gooning streak, getting up. I don't know. There might be some new stuff that I don't know about that I'm going to have to look up in some Urban Dictionary, or, I mean, they've got other dictionaries that are similar to Urban Dictionaries that have all this stuff. But now, if you're talking about puking on a man's junk, as in he's just got a bunch of clothes and she puked on his clothes, um, yeah. See where my brain goes when I hear man's junk? I think of the worst, and because so many of them have referenced that. Well, you got the junk in the trunk, and he's got the junk in the. It's like, okay, so we can't even talk about what that is. And so imagine a police officer trying. Like I've had edged for 5 hours straight, and it's an experience. I bet your arm probably shook a lot. Do you like the back door or no? No, I don't like the back door related to libido, if that's what you're talking about. If you're talking about the flappy appendage and libido, absolutely no. Because the thing is that it causes pain and bleeding. And if you have ever been in the situation of having it forcefully taken, which I have, it's not, it doesn't feel good. You will bleed. A woman bleeds for several days. And that was one thing when I went into a certain chat area. They were laughing about that. They thought it was funny. So the little chat people in there, they were laughing about that over and over again, talking about bleeding for, I mean, you bleed. It tears the skin and you bleed for several days. When a man just takes it, it doesn't feel good. Imagine doing that to a child. And I hate to put that thought in people's heads, but that's what I was thinking. Imagine doing that to a child. It's bad enough doing it to a woman. And there's women who will decide, yeah, we'll do the backdoor thing, or we'll give it a try. But when it hurts and it's painful and it causes bleeding, she's less inclined to do that again. Well, thank you for saying that, nobody. It was a consensual relationship that I had. But see, we're in the middle of the consensual part, and then he just decided he wanted the backdoor part, and he overpowered me. And he was a police officer in the military. Now go figure. The one person who you would think that you could trust, but no, you couldn't. But I wouldn't do that without consent. Yeah, everybody says they wouldn't do that without consent. Um, I mean, it's a discussion. I mean, and the thing is I've often kind of felt like, well, because I've had these things happen, now I kind of feel like I'm a marked person, whereas I wouldn't even be able to talk to a new partner about this stuff, because then I feel like, well, they might feel like that she's just going to judge him for everything, and then the relationship is doomed from the beginning. And so that's kind of where I feel like sometimes it's like, why even bother, because the relationship is just going to end up failing. So what takes away the fun? You're talking about what takes away the fun. I mean, I'll talk about things. I will talk very vividly about things. Now, right now, I am speaking in tongues in an adult way, or trying to, so that I don't get censored too critically. Oh, yeah, I changed my logo. I did. Someone said something about my star logo, that they thought I could be representing the gay community, because I had a pretty rainbow on there. And the truth is, I really love rainbows. I always have my whole life. And I did before, I loved rainbows just because I did. They were outside. I would never do that to you, a woman or a girlfriend, because without consent, that's rape. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And the thing is, I was in a situation with that situation because of the fact that, well, how do I even say this? I was actually separated, but still legally married when it happened. And so, but then we always have, I love white people so much as a black person. Yeah, I mean, I've been married to a black man and I've been married to a white man, so I have grandkids that are mixed. So, but the thing is, it's like you have to take each person kind of as a grain of salt. I've always given people if you show me who you are, then I'm going to believe you. Maya Angelou always said that. Once a person shows you who they are, believe them. And it's like, well, then people always like to hide things at the beginning too, and there's some men that are better at hiding things for a longer period of time. And unfortunately, my second husband was of that caliber, that he hid things for a long time. And I started learning that he felt like he had to, because he was black. He felt like he had to. Because that was the only way he could fit in with society, from what he told me. That he had to lick the boots of the white man in order to get any type of job in life. And he was that way in being married to a white woman too. Never been married to a Mexican. No, and I don't plan on getting married to a Mexican. I heard there was a woman I talked to, she was Puerto Rican. And she said that the Mexican and Puerto Rican men, she said they have as much rage as black men do, or white men, So she was just telling me that it's there in all the cultures, and I believe her. I have no reason to not believe her at all. So my girlfriend is an average white girl. I love her so much. Never liked snow bunnies to begin with. Well, I mean, I don't find that offensive, what you're calling a snow bunny. I mean, I know that's a reference, is supposed to be derogatory towards white women, but the other thing snow bunnies are called, we're not all the same. The other thing too, in the movies, I believe it was Dirty Dancing, and no, it was not Dirty Dancing. What movie was that? There was a movie. So the movies have a way of making things kind of funny. They take things that are supposed to be derogatory, and they kind of turn them into something that's funny sometimes. And so for example, when people would go skiing in Vail, Colorado and stuff like that, they called the women who were rich, their husbands would send them in advance on vacation to their ski lodge or whatever. I've never been in that realm to be able to be that rich before, to know what any of that's like. I thought it would be fun, a little bit, but it's like, well, I didn't want to marry into it, because I always kind of saw the men as, overly good looking, or either that or they were overly ugly. They were really, really ugly. But they only got women. They got good looking women because they had lots of money. And it's like, I never wanted to be seen as a gold digger, but I've drilled that down to just being married, marriage. And it's like, then women are just called gold diggers for getting married because inflation causes there not to be enough money for women to even be able to get by. And so anyway, the women would go and they'd stay at the ski lodge. And so the men who work at the ski lodges, the staff would call the women snow bunnies, and they said they were easy to sleep with because the husband had lots of money. And so during the week, it was almost like the husband knew, he knew because he was doing his thing, she's doing her thing. They both got lots of money. They're both in it for the money together. And so she's there as eye candy. She is the trophy wife, and she does not have to be good looking. She can be the girl next door, even the fat chubby girl next door too. That's what I've seen depicted in a lot of ways in a lot of movies. She is your capital gains bride. I like that word, capital gains bride, because that's kind of a new terminology. Capital gains bride is a woman where he gets benefits from her because of the fact of marriage, that he gets distinct benefits by being married to a woman. And so he don't care where the woman comes from. He don't care what country she comes from. He needs a wife to get his capital gains benefits. And so I'm not offended by Snow Bunny at all, because I think well, God, let me tell you this too. Let's look at bunnies a little bit. We're going to look at bunnies, and we have got bunnies that are brown. We've got bunnies that are black. We've got bunnies that are white. So what is a snow bunny? Because a snow bunny can be all different colors, all shades of the rainbow. It can be 1001 shades of gray. So your snow bunny, you just don't know what color your snow bunny is going to come in. I'm going to throw that right out there for you right now before you go any further with and now you retracted all the messages. You retracted every last message because so they are tampering with the engagement. Someone is. I don't know. I see that with a few people. But you just don't know what you're going to get with your snow bunny there. Okay, now they left again. You're nobody called today. What is Snow Bunny heaven? Well, I think Snow Bunny heaven could be two different things. Snow Bunny heaven is sort of like in the Bible where Allah has 700 wives. Or he gets his 40 wives and gold after he dies. I think it's kind of like that. So Snow Bunny heaven, is that a ski resort maybe? I don't know. Is it a ski resort? I have no idea. Snow Bunny heaven, it could be just a bunch of women. I know it's the Playboy Mansion, the Playmate. Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember the cooler called the Playmate? And that kind of has to do with, I'd always made the reference of Hugh Hefner. Now you just reminded me of something. So we had a Playmate cooler. That's what it was called. We also had the Coleman cooler. And so both coolers actually, they're kind of funny because one of the coolers reminded me of the time when I was close to like moving away from a military base. But there's these two guys, and one of them was a white guy, one of them was a black guy. They both had the same last name of Coleman, and it was always funny. I always called them the Coleman twins because they had the same last name. But I thought it was funny because, it's like, well, they have the same last name. One guy was white, one guy was black, but I always referenced them as the Coleman twins. just because I thought it was funny. But that was back in the time, when the military was doing stuff, and, nobody was really offended about all this race stuff. It wasn't, some of it did exist, but people weren't getting mad like they are now. It's like um, yeah, which that kind of caught me off guard. The built up rage in a lot of the civilian community. Oh my goodness. It's like, I mean, there is some held up rage in the civilian community outside of military bases. And, so I don't know if, I don't know sometimes if soldiers are truly as upset as they are, or if they've gone into an acting mode of that being upset about something that they're not really upset about. I have no idea. But I do keep hearing that they are taken care of after they get out of the military. And that seems to be not true. I don't see that as true with my own family. Now, one of my sons did get things taken care of for himself, but he's still not in a position to actually want to help me, as far as that goes. He said that I should just be able to do it myself because nobody ever helped him with anything. And that's because he's mad at his dad because his dad wouldn't help him. So he's more mad at his dad and competing with his dad and his uncle. But that's the society we have. It's like, well, if you can make it, you can make it. If you can't, you can't. It's like, well, I couldn't even make it on my own after I got divorced. And this was at the time my kids needed me the most. And I was getting divorced from from my first husband, and I wasn't making it. My kids needed me, and he was rejecting them. And he was mad at me at the same time. And it's like, but he's the one who was getting angry. And as our marriage progressed, he was getting more and more angry. Be right back, honey buns. Calling me honey buns. Okay, Mr. Twinkie Hostess Ho Ho. You little curved up shrimp. You curved up shrimp coming out of the seahorse pouch. Well, I'll be back on in a little bit. I have to go right now, but I'll be back on probably a little bit later. So